Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Miyuki and this is Let's Make Art, and you are here for a bonus lettering watercolor tutorial where we are making this fun project. My voice is not gonna do that right now, but I'm so excited to do this one with you. This either comes in your box or you can get it as a kit. Now, we are using watercolors for this, for the painting and for the lettering. The 3 colors: magenta, yellow ochre, and Tahoe blue. And the brush that I will be using is the round 2. This is a different handle. You know what? Do we have a round 2 of our other brush? Well, I don't know. I was gonna say if we have a round 2 of our Let's Make Art brushes, I can use that as well. But I was gonna say that you can use either, if you have the, you've also might have seen me use the round 2/0 or the 0. This lettering technique we're gonna be doing is so much bigger, so don't worry so much. Oh, I meant the Let's Make Art one.
Oh.
Do we have one of those?
Oh, I don't think we have any of those.
But anyways, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter so much about which brush you use, because I'm gonna show you how you can still do this project. Okay, so those are the supplies. I'm gonna be using Canson watercolor paper, and then I would also have tape, whether it's painter's tape or washi tape, to tape the edges, because you'll see that there's a clean edge. Now, the steps. There are 5 steps. The first one is I'm going to show you how to create a layout. The second one is we're going to pre-mix your colors, because I suggest to do that. It might be a little bit easier when you create this ombre lettering. Cool. Let's try it. I'm down for a challenge.
Nice.
So you can see, oh yeah, oh, I'm excited. Okay, I'm gonna try our 2. The step 3, ombre lettering, I think I said that already. Step 4 is we're going to tape the edges, and then step 5 is we're gonna paint all the leaves. So, step 1, layout. Get out your watercolor sheet, and I'm going to use a pencil. So there are a few different ways that you can create your layout. I'm going to use my reference photo so that it's smaller. Now, to do your lettering, especially if you're watching this and you haven't done lettering before you get a little bit nervous, I want to show you about some tools that you can use. There are a few practice sheets that you can download at our website at letsmakeart.com. This one just has lines. This one has lettering already that you can trace. If you haven't used brushes before, you can use that. You can letter directly on this paper. I realize if you have the box. If you print this out, some computer paper, well, it's fine, it's practice. It's practice. Do your thing. And then there's a foundation stroke practice sheet, and there's letters. So there's a lot. I wanted to create this as a kit so that if this is your first time trying lettering, these are all of the ways to get started. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of put them all into one, and I'm going to draw directly on my watercolor paper. If you don't want to do that, use this sheet and exactly follow along like I'm doing, and then you can use a light box and place it underneath to trace. But I just wanted to walk you through those steps so that you know the different ways you can get started. Now, when I'm looking at this, my quote is, "I'm not lost, I'm creating my own path." So I'm going to draw some lines for where I want to draw my words. I'm drawing these very loosely, and I made them kind of curved because I didn't want to make them straight, and I didn't want to do that to myself and make it feeling like they have to be perfectly straight or not. So I just drew some lines. I drew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because I'm going to have 5 different rows. I want to move this one up a little bit, because if you notice I made Lost I'm a little bit smaller, so I'm just going to move that up a little bit just to help myself a little bit. So you can see that creating is my biggest space right here, so that's why I left more room, and then also path down here. Are these lines dark enough, or should I draw darker?
Yep, they look good.
Okay.
Do you want to shift a little to the left?
Yes, I can. Okay, those are my lines. Now, for your lettering, I also suggest for this is to use your pencil. Your pencil is your friend. So I'm going to use my pencil, and I'm going to draw my letters out. If you think that, oh, that's too big, I don't know if I like that, just erase it and draw it again. It's okay. Now, you might be thinking, I don't have nice hand lettering. What am I supposed to do? You will see that you do not have to do all cursive. You can do some block letters. You can mix it up. And the beauty is that because we're going to create it in this ombre type of look, people won't be worried so much about the way that your letters look, because as a whole, it will all come together. So I want to make creating really big. And I drew those. Just felt like doing this in cursive, I guess. Path. Now, my Y overlap, so I'm just gonna make that a little bit smaller. So these are my guidelines. So again, if you wanted to do this step on this paper, you can do that. If you didn't want to do it directly, that is another way you can do this. Now that I have my base, if you need to pause and do this on your own, don't feel so rushed that you have to do this at my own pace. I just want to remind you that you can do this at your own pace. Now what I'm going to do though is I'm going to jump right into my watercolors. So I have my palette set up and I put in the 3 colors that we started with, which is magenta, yellow ochre, and Tahoe blue. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-mix my colors. So you notice that I go from ombre coming down to this indigo color. So we have a color wheel that I created so that you can see is I'm starting with the yellow ochre and we went like this. So that's the colors that we're going to create. So it's all of those colors basically. So what I want to do is I want to pre-mix all of these colors. So to do that is I'm going to start with my yellow ochre and I'm going to squeeze maybe 3 drops, maybe 2 drops, and 1 drop. Because I want to be more saturated in yellow ochre. And then I'm going to do the opposite where I want this more saturated in magenta. This about equal parts. And then 1 drop of magenta. So let's see from my swatches what we got. So this way, the reason why it helps to pre-mix the colors, because when we go to letter, you will be all set up. Awesome.
Nice.
I think, and the cool thing is why it's helpful to do swatches, is that I actually want to make one more color that's in between here. So if you want to do that, and if this happens to you, just pick up the color and either do it on a different well, or you can also use the inside here. I'm going to take that color and I'm just going to add a little bit more yellow. So you see how that made kind of an in-between?
Yeah.
Now I need to keep going around my color wheel. So I'm going to start with my magenta and I'm going to mix a little bit of Tahoe blue into it. So I'm going to go mainly magenta, 2 drops, 1 drop. Do the opposite, more Tahoe blue, equal 1. So this should be, so the interesting thing is you'll see is Tahoe blue is really strong. So these might, let's see, this will be interesting. Okay, so, I should have done it the other way. I want to have a little bit more of this orchid color because I have a little bit too much purple. So I'm going to take this original color, or this color that I did here, and I'm just going to add more magenta. So that's more of an in-between. So we're getting closer to magenta, and I'm going to create one more. So I'm going to pick this color up, do the same thing that I did here. And I'm going to add more magenta. Ooh.
That's pretty.
Ooh, that's a cool color. Just don't want it to mix. Okay. Ooh, that looks so cool. So now I have all of my colors pre-mixed, so now I know when I'm dipping, I'm just going to continue to go around my color wheel. Now, if you are nervous to do this, I'm speaking to you, and that is okay. I know that this is something that can be intimidating, especially if this is your first time lettering, and lettering with a brush is a little bit different. So that's what I was saying, was I created this as a practice sheet if you want to just start to warm up, and you can pick any color you want, and you can just trace over this. So this doesn't matter how it looks. This is just for you to understand, okay, how the brush works when you're when you're lettering with watercolor. So feel free to take some time to simply just practice this, or you can practice on your own if you created this as well. And then I want you to take a deep breath and be excited, because this is going, like I said, at the very end, this will be very satisfying. So I am going to start with my first color, which is my yellow ochre. And before I do that, actually, I wanted to say is that if you also did the same step as I did and you have pencil lines on here, feel free to lightly erase it if you don't want the pencil lines to show up too strong. For this purposes, so that you can see on camera, I'm going to leave it as is, but I just wanted to tell you that that's a step you can do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip into my yellow ochre, because that's my first color. Ooh, so you can see what we're going for. And I'm just going to push to create a thicker stroke and then release. So when you're lettering with a brush or a brush pen, is the harder you push, the thicker line you can get. So now, as I'm doing this, I'm going to start to gradually move around my color palette. So I'm going to dip into here, and I'm actually going to overlap. And I had already drawn yellow ochre, but I just overlapped that as I transition into my next color. So now I am going to, so did that make sense though, how I overlapped it?
Yes.
Okay.
You blend the other color within the original color that you put down first.
Yeah. So we're going to continue to do that. And you'll notice if you want a thinner stroke, you just don't press as hard. But I'm going to continue on. So you can decide, you are the creator of this, how many letters you do before you transition. It is up to you. Maybe I'm going to do those two, and then I'm going to start to dip into my third color. Maybe I'll transition down here. So by overlapping, it creates a smooth transition instead of a harsh line.
You could transition by the count of strokes.
You can do that too.
3 strokes, switch.
Like you're swimming?
Yes.
That's how you swim.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, breathe.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, breathe.
I just always keep my head above water.
It's okay. So now I am done with that first line. I'm going to continue on. So I'm going to keep with that color. And when you're doing your block lettering, then maybe that's what Keenan was saying, was you do 2 or 3 strokes, and then you transition to the next color. Now, what I'm thinking is I'm going to do, what color am I? I'm going to do 3 strokes like he said, but then I'm going to go into the next color, and I'm going to, so this is a different color than what's originally on here. So this is the raspberry type of color, and I'm just going to overlap it. Might not be that big of a difference, but by overlapping, it creates an in-between.
So there's not as hard a transition between the block letters.
Yes, because you can see that this color is slightly different than this one, but now I created the baby version of it, the mixed version of it, and now it's there. So I'm on 1, 2, 3, 4.
That makes so much sense.
I'm glad. I'm not lost, I'm creating. Okay, let me continue transitioning over. So now I moved on to my magenta, which is pretty bright. I realize I don't know if I use magenta on this one, but I'm going to use it here. So I'm going to do that same thing where I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to do 3 again and then overlap. So you will notice that If you have more saturation of your color, so basically if I dip in and then I draw that stroke, that's why that color is a lot thicker there, or a lot darker there, and then thinner down here. I love that about watercolors, and especially when it comes to lettering. So don't worry so much about making sure it's an even color. I just wanted to explain that that's why that's happening. Oops. Go to my next color. So now I'm going to do that same thing, and I'm going to overlap to make the mixture of that. And then continue on. So if I push harder, that might happen. If that happens, that means I just need to go. I'm going to dip in water and then dip in my color and then just make it, smoothen it out. It just got dry. That's the reason why. And you can decide how thick you want these letters to be. So can you see how thick I made that A compared to everything else? So that's the cool thing about lettering with the brush. And again, I'm going to switch halfway through. Okay, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, transition, overlap again. Go to the next color. Now. Oh, that happened again, which means I need a little bit more water. Oh. It's okay, I'll make that into a leaf.
You're sounding real Midwestern right now.
Is that what happens after 2 months?
Being stuck in Missouri.
Is that what you say here?
Oh.
Am I seriously picking that up?
I think so.
That is wild.
That is funny.
Okay, so I'm going to start with this color again, but I'm going to start it down here. So I'm going back to my cursive. So maybe it's 3 strokes, and then go to the next color. So I'm going to overlap it again. So now this color is a lot darker than this lighter color, which is okay actually, because you can see that when I overlapped it, I'm going to leave that. I love that. It kind of bloomed into the next stroke. I think that looks really cool. Now, you might get mixed up like me which color you're using because they all start to look the same. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Because they're so concentrated, they all start to look the same.
Question.
Yes.
On the R, when you did the loopy thing, you picked up your brush and then you continued again. On the Y, when you did the loop, you did a continuous stroke.
Look at you.
Was that a natural thing, or was it because, my thought, hear me out, my thought was because the R is a much larger letter, to continue that stroke you had to lift up to get the loopy thingy.
I love that you noticed that. Okay, I'm going to test this out. Yeah, because it was such a big letter. I love this color.
Yeah, that's a good color.
So did I go like that? And then
And
that
it
was
was almost mid-loop. Yeah, because you didn't do a full circle in the loop.
So, oh, I didn't continue this.
Yeah. Like, you met the first vertical line, the thick, with the beginning of the loop, and then lifted and finished on the opposite without doing a full circle.
Oh, that was 100% subconscious. So, if you were wondering about that, and I love that Keaton brought that up, I think that's because I wanted a thinner line. You can 100% do it all in one stroke. The reason why, I need way more water on here. Let me explain this, I love this. Let me draw a little smaller. If I were to take this all in one stroke, can you see how there's no line?
Yeah.
And the reason why is because this is the way, especially if you're using a 2, this is such a long brush. And so what happens is that it just kind of does this and moves it around. Whereas if I do this part of the R and then I lift up, then I can start wherever, or I can continue the circle. It doesn't matter because you won't see it. But now I think about it, I'm like, okay, that's a thinner stroke, so I can start thin and then I can go thick. Now, on the Y, what he's saying is he noticed that I didn't do that. I think it's because it's, oh, it's, okay. So when I do this, if I were to lift up, you can do that actually. I don't want to tell you it's wrong either way. But I have done it where I think about it and I push and then I start to slowly get to the tip and then I come around.
Oh, okay.
If this is happening to you and it's doing that, because I can see that happening, just lift up a little bit more. So if I'm doing this stroke, start to lift up. See, I'm getting to the tip right now. And then come around. Did that make sense?
That was smooth.
So, and I know that this might be a little bit intimidating and a little bit much if this is your first time lettering with a brush. But those are different things you can practice. And that's actually why, which I completely skimmed through this really fast, is if you want to practice those exact things that I was just showing Keenan, is download this practice worksheet. This is from our Foundation Strokes, one of the beginner lettering series. This is the perfect thing to start with. And I did mention this in the beginning, but again, you can download this for free on our website, and this is a great way to continue to practice if you like this technique. There's tools for you to continue on. Okay, thank you, Keenan, for that question.
You're welcome. Thank you for answering it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now I don't remember where I was going, but it's okay. I'm just gonna continue to mix. Now, actually, what I want to show you is what's cool. I'm gonna just make that thicker and darker. Ooh, I like that color. Is if you want, even within this stroke, if you want a different color, maybe you think, I'm gonna even that out actually, because if you think I have some magenta here, I'm just gonna drop in a little bit of that purple within that stroke. So you can play and do the same thing. I'm gonna go into the next color. Oh, snap. It's okay, it's okay. If this
Paper
happens
towel,
to you,
safe.
here's how you do it. Use a paper towel, and you suction it up. And then use water. Oh,
And
good.
blend.
And lead?
Blend.
Oh,
And lead.
I don't know about that.
The soak and blend.
The bend and snap. Okay, now, oh, what color am I using? I don't know. I'm just gonna continue to blend on through. So this path, I'm creating my own path. It's gonna be a bunch of different colors. So I'm going into my blue. Oh, well, I'm just gonna use straight Tahoe. This is straight Tahoe blue. So it looks a little bit different than the reference photo, but it looks cool.
Still pretty.
Thank you. Okay, now I'm gonna leave that there because I'm just gonna blend that in afterwards. Okay, now I am going to tape down my edges. So the reason why I didn't do this taping down before is because for me, I actually like to have a loose paper when I'm lettering because I tend to rotate it a little bit. So if I tape it down, then I feel restricted. But when I'm painting, is this cool?
Very cool.
Okay. When I'm painting, I'm okay with taping it down. So I'm just gonna have a little bit of border. Tape this down. If you have washi tape, you can also use this or use that as well. We also, do we? Yeah, we sell this on our site, right? You got some.
Tape?
Tape.
Yeah.
You can add that to your next order. Very handy. It works with this project. It's funny sometimes when you use it and the blue just is bright.
It's funny how easy it is to misplace a roll of tape.
We went on a hunt for tape.
And it was here the whole time.
It was in my backpack. Okay. Now we are going to paint the leaves. This I want you to be loose, have fun with. You are going to draw leaves. Now, if you draw your leaves differently, then do them how you draw them. I am just going to draw them kind of loosely. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to start up here. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing where I started with my lighter color and then I'm going to transition and go around here. Actually, no, I think you can do that actually if you want to do it like that. I was trying to look at what I did was I started here and then just went darker and then darkest around, down here. So you can see that I did that right there. So, I would probably wait till this is dry, but I'm going to go for it.
What if you start at the bottom? So that it dries as you paint.
But then this will be wet. It's okay.
I can't think of everything.
I was not expecting you to. It's okay. I'm going to be mindful about where I place my hand. Now, have fun with these leaves. Like I said, you can have them coming out from the edge. You can have them be wavy. You can have them be curved. Some of them could be connected. I am kind of overlapping them over my painter's tape so that when I take it off, it'll have a clean edge. Some will come up there. So you're going to start to overlap these leaves because then they'll look like a forest. So now I got my next color and I overlapped a couple colors there.
I like that dark, that golden brownish.
This one or the next one? Or this one that I'm using?
I think the one you're using. Yeah.
I'm going to add more here.
Like a warm color.
Yeah, this like clay color.
Yeah,
That's what I
clay.
call it. Or terracotta.
Terracotta, is that a food?
Is it? I don't think so. What I know of terracotta is like clay pots that, like it's this color.
Yeah.
Like you go to Home Depot or Lowe's and you see.
You know, Home Depot. Big fan of Home
Do
Depot.
you have Home Depot? I don't know why I said it like that.
Do we have a Home Depot? No, we don't. In Cameron.
And I didn't mean it like that.
We don't have one.
Stop.
It's like 40 minutes away.
You know I did not mean it.
Do we have a Home
Except it probably sounded like that.
That's so funny.
For anyone who's watching this, I've been in Missouri for 2.5 maybe now at this point.
2.5
months. Ooh, that just kind of blended into that next color. Yes, I'm a kid. So I'm just kind of transitioning over into my next color. I am going to draw them down now. You can choose what direction they go in. I don't know what kind of leaves these are, but they're almond shapes. Now, let me continue spinning my wheel. I'm going to go to the next color. If anyone is from the Midwest, though, I'd like to know, because I have never experienced thunderstorms or lightning like I have here. And because I'm used to earthquakes. That's like the most intense thing that we get as Californians. But holy moly, you feel it deep in your soul.
The thunder or the earthquake?
Oh, sorry, the thunder.
Yeah.
Well, the earthquakes happen so fast that it's more scary. This is like you feel it and you're in it.
Yeah.
Because earthquakes only last like maybe 30 seconds at most.
Really?
So last night while I was trying to sleep, I couldn't because I just kept feeling it in my soul, like I was saying. These intense. Does it affect you, or are you used to it?
I mean, I love thunderstorms. If I had been awake, I probably would have also heard the same thunderstorm.
You didn't hear any last night?
Oh, I sleep through things.
It was at like well, I guess it depended on where you were.
Yeah.
I should have mentioned this, I'm sorry I didn't. The cool thing about these round brushes is that you can push to create different strokes. I'm sorry, I didn't say that earlier. Different size strokes. So I'm going to push harder. I'm super free flowing this. Oh, I haven't experienced a tornado though.
Neither have I.
Really? You've lived here your whole life.
Yeah. I've never seen one.
Are they not that common?
No, they're common. There's a city a couple hours away, Joplin. Joplin got hit by a massive tornado several years ago. I think it took out half the city.
Holy
And
moly.
it's a very large city. Yeah, it was tragic. There was a lot of destruction. But we've had tornado warnings and calls and sirens go off, and sometimes we go to the basement, other times we just wait it out outside watching the weather.
Gotcha. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it feel sparse anywhere from up there? Maybe right here?
Left of the lost? Yep, right there.
You know what this looks like? Seaweed.
Interesting.
This is like Ariel under the water.
Ariel under the water.
That's what it kind of feels like. Okay, now. So is it cool? Does it?
Yeah, I think it looks awesome.
Those were super loose. Now, I'm just. Ew, that's a little wet. We'll see what happens. Okay, so now I'm gonna rip this off. I am doing it softly because sometimes it does rip. It is so gosh darn satisfying.
I love a good taped edge.
And if you want more of it, I would just add more color on the edge because I left it kind of white and sparse. Oh, our mat's moving.
Our table is shifting.
Cut. Okay, one more.
Nice.
Boom! That's okay. It smeared a little bit right there. Whew. Okay, we are done, everyone. I hope that was therapeutic. I hope that was fun. There are so many fun things that were a part of this, and I was really excited again to do this as a bonus project. I would love, love, love to see what you create so you can create your own path in your own world. We have a Facebook group called Let's Make Art Lettering that you can join, and we also have a Let's Make Art Watercolor that you can share both of them because it's lettering and watercolor. So I hope you have fun doing this, and I will see you all later.